everyone. Before the episode starts off, just want to let you know, Volume 1 does have audio-only episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you were on iTunes, if you could leave us a 5-star review, that would be awesome. And if you want to support Volume 1 on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/Volume1pod.
Around when a football dropped from the ceiling out of a hatch, I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we review the first volume of a brand new manga each week. My name is Josh Stryker Michaels, and today, as always, I am joined by...
I don't want to say it. Should I? Okay. Megan Big Balls Perrine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cody Goalkeeper Decker.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of Volume 1. Welcome to the new studio. We finally did it. We finally moved to a bigger space. Hope you like it. Tell us what you think of the new space. We got a lot of cool new things that we're going to be doing on the channel.
I love the new studio. It's so fucking awesome. We have like some of the manga that we reviewed in the back. Some of it's mine, some of it's Josh's. We have Josh's figures, which you all know and love. We have my collection, which is the never before seen behind me.
I was not assigned a space.
You don't have anything.
You don't have anything. And the thing that I got you that I said, oh, you should put that up. It'd be cool. You said, I want to put it in my room.
If I put it up, it's no longer mine. It's the studio's.
That's not how that works, Cody.
Give and take, Cody.
How does this manga work, Josh?
Oh,
Well,
wow.
thank you guys for tuning into another episode first and foremost. And yes, new things implemented, new things in the timeline that you can see and skip ahead to whatever sections that interest you most. But I hope you stay for the whole ride. Today we're going to be talking about Volume 1 of Blue Lock, which has been recommended to us by a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Damn.
I said it faster.
Yes.
Just like I am on the field.
Oh, shit. Well,
I guarantee I can outrun you.
I could definitely outrun you.
Yes.
Well, we don't have a field to prove it, so you
We
can't
had to
really
move
say shit
to a
now.
different studio so you don't have to walk up the stairs anymore.
That's the only reason we moved. Yeah.
And honestly, there's stairs where I live now, and I'm like, 2 sets of stairs. Who am I, a fucking Rocky?
Yeah.
Like
Am I Rocky over here?
Yeah, I mean, in some aspects, yes. But, yes, Blue Lock, I was super excited to start it because, I mean, I do like sports anime. It just depends on what it is. I'm not like the biggest fan of that, manga, I mean. But it blew away my expectation.
Yeah, let me just say this, dude. So many people recommended this series to us, and so I had high expectations going into it. My experience with sports manga, sports anime is, Ice Shield 21, Haikyuu, and Yuri on Ice, and that's about it. I am in real life not much of a big fan at all of sports. I played sports when I was younger, but I tend to kind of stray from or not. I'm not really attracted or drawn to sports manga just because I'm not interested in sports in real life. So I was a little on the fence about this series. I didn't know what to expect. I expected, if anything, to be kind of bored, if I'm being honest, but I was pleasantly surprised. It doesn't mean I don't have my issues with this series, though.
I don't like sports at all.
Mm-hmm.
I have actively tried to find it entertaining to watch, and I can't do it. This is one of the better adaptions of a sports story, because they start being it starts exaggerating it so much so that I'm like, oh, it's borderline like a parody of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it didn't really stick with me.
Yeah, I will say that I liked a lot of things about this, and I think what this series is doing on a narrative level is extremely interesting, and I think as a story, it works very well, and it's doing something that nobody else, I think, in the sports sort of manga genre has done before, with the idea of what it means to be a team. However, I worry about its message, and I really worry about what it is trying to say.
Because it's so much going against the usual message of a sports story that I'm like, if it's a parody, I can enjoy it a little more.
I like I said, I was going into this kind of like I was excited about it because so many people recommended it to us, and the reason why they're recommending it to us because it was not what you think, and that's exactly what it wasn't at all what I thought, and it's so exaggerated to the point where it's like fun to read. And it's so over, like, it's like even the scenes where they're like, you know, on the field or they're going against each other, it's like they're fight scenes, like they're that intense, and it just kept me like wanting to read more. And then the anime is gonna come out, it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is for sure a mix between a sports manga and like a battle shonen, where like, you know, you have these series like Assassination Classroom or like a battle royale type of story mixed with sports. Soccer or football, depending on where you're watching specifically.
Yeah,
and
I mean, this loses so many points for calling it football and not soccer.
Well,
Because I was sitting there
I
with my bald eagle cup.
well, it said soccer in the translation that I read because I bought it.
Oh, well, guess what? I did the communist route.
oh,
And I didn't buy it.
We live in a free country.
Do we?
oh,
Great
okay,
point.
you guys.
Oh, I mean, no.
Again.
I mean, no.
But that's what I liked about it, because it's just so different. It's so different from all the other sports shit out there. So it's like I would rather read this or watch this than any other thing that's on the market right
I like
now.
the art style. I like the draw.
Art was
I
beautiful.
did like when the person is kicking a ball. You know, it is drawn like he's like doing a fireball. Like this
Yeah.
is my ultimate attack thing. So yeah. I mean, visually, I think this is. If I was gonna have to watch a sports thing, it would be this.
Yeah, I just like I said earlier, I really enjoyed reading this, and I think as entertainment, it is doing its job extremely well. It is extremely entertaining, but I found myself at multiple points throughout while reading it feeling very conflicted about its message. Like
Yeah,
it's
true.
it's a story that its theme, I would say, and I don't think I think it's very clear, is ego. Like the theme is ego, but the message is lean into your ego.
Well,
And-
I did like the joke of like, you know, Japan is known for being like very like studious and like, you know, respectful. So our issue is we don't have like any real like ego superstar, and we're just gonna create one, and we're gonna find someone who can have the ego of, and we will have the next great football player. You know.
Yeah, if I'm looking at it culturally, I guess I can see that a little bit more. But like, as someone who lives in America and is watching or reading this, people don't need bigger egos in America, and so I worry that people read this and decide to lean all the way in on, yeah, you know what? Fuck everybody else. You know, this is all about me.
The impact it will have on America to be like an ego is actually great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Which
it's wild.
I guess that's supposed to be the moral at the end of sports movies over here, but they're really, I mean, it's usually about how like one person is like what matters in a team.
Yeah.
And that one person learns to like, you know, maybe lean off it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, you know, and again, doing anything, I think, competitively, and a lot of things outside of sports are also very competitive. You come across ego, you deal with ego within yourself, and you deal with it within others. And it's just a thing that at the end of the day, I think, you know, is an ugly thing. I think that you can definitely use it to, and I think some people have self-esteem issues or maybe might not get to the place they want to be because of a lack of ego. Maybe you need a certain amount of it to really achieve the dream you want to achieve. But what this feels like it's telling you is that you need to lean all in on it, and you need to and you need to step on everybody to get to wherever
I
you
guess
want to get.
I was viewing it more from like a not like exactly joke, but like playing with if you view it from like a Japanese culture thing, I think it works like as a sports thing universally. It probably sends the bad message, but the joke is sort of like in Japan, you know, they're famous for being polite and doing all this stuff, and we need to get someone. What do we got to do we got to create this whole system to find someone who has an ego on the level of any other player.
Yeah, and I really am curious. You know, when I did play sports as a kid, I mostly played like baseball and basketball because I was, I wasn't really forced to, but I thought that's what, I wanted to do. And I, didn't end up liking it, but I never played soccer. And so I wonder if anybody's watching or listening, or if either of you here have played soccer and read this. I wonder if your experience with it is different. I wonder if you can read it and enjoy it, or if if it taints something that you care about, because it is sort of like,
this has ruined soccer for me.
Yeah.
And I can't abide by the disrespect it gives.
I just didn't take it that seriously.
Yeah,
I just really didn't take. I thought it was just a fun thing that they were doing. It's so much fun to read a battle royale story when everyone is just trying to get theirs and trying to be the best, and the stakes in this story are ridiculously high because they're saying, "Oh, if you can't do this, you can't do it at all here," which is like so insane. But it's absurdity. It's like a freaking Record of Ragnarok. Like, it's in that level of just like insanity that I'm like, okay, I just buy this.
Yeah, and
basically I didn't hold it up to the standards of like an actual story. So, because around when a football dropped from the ceiling out of a hatch, I was like, oh,
yeah,
okay. I think I understand that this is a joke.
I don't think it's a joke. I think it's entertainment for sure, but I don't think they're like poking fun at anything. I do think they are heightening things.
A joke in the sense that it's like playing up like how serious sports is taken. Because we're doing this whole building for sports. I'm always just like, oh wow, that's so much money. For like a football player. Specifically one, you don't even do anything with the rest of them.
Yeah.
You do the opposite of anything with the rest of them. They can't even make you money on the side now.
That's an interesting way to look at it, as kind of poking fun at the absurdity which like people take sports. That's one way to look at it. I do like that interpretation of it. But to me, and I did have fun. Like the second chapter, and we'll get into it soon, but like the second chapter of this series to me was one of the most entertaining, high stakes. Just like my heart was racing.
Really?
I really, and to watch a character kind of make a choice that they didn't even have to make. It was like I really was emotionally there and connected as someone who does not know the first thing about soccer or football or whatever. Like it's a well written and exciting and very good at building like tension. But I don't know. I as someone who loved anime and manga as a kid, and
therefore your opinion
is a higher
above. No. I didn't realize. As
someone
who was as a kid.
You guys can both keep doing it.
1975.
1963.
I'm sorry, 63.
63.
89.
69.
Yeah, 80 to 69. 19420.
I think that for me, like as someone who was also like a loner and as someone who had like moved to a state and like didn't know anybody and was like my freshman year of high school, didn't talk to anybody, like, and was very like lonely. I loved and felt like I was dealing with a lot. I loved watching shonens like Naruto and like Bleach, which were shows about a character they are also silly, they're also fantasy, they're also heightened, they're also all these things that you're saying Blue Lock is, but I love their resilience. I love like the protagonist, and I love Naruto and Ichigo and how against all odds they fought to overcome their situation. So I'm saying I applied the things I read in those things to my life.
Let me counter this, because as someone who went through those exact issues,
please,
that doesn't matter
in
a story where it's like,
to me it mattered a lot.
As someone who was also a loner, I mean, a story is still a story.
But you can learn.
And also, here's the thing:
take away things.
Here's legitimately. I would take the story of Naruto more seriously, because at least like there's stakes in the Hokage for me. But to be a striker in a soccer team, I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. So and
like even in Ice Shield, like there's a one of the things about what makes him so good on the football field is that he can like he can visualize where to move, because he's so good at weaving in and out of crowds, because he's a loner, and he like when he's on a crowded campus, he like sees a line of like how to get to class the fastest and not bump into the most the least amount of people. And so when I saw that, I was like, that's me. I'm just saying I understand what it is, and I can have fun, and I cannot apply it to my life. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that I do wonder if there's someone out there who is reading this and is going like, this is my favorite manga, this is my favorite protagonist, and I want to be like them. And the world could use a little less of that.
I feel like we're not. I feel like the whole thing with this story, of course, they're trying to build the best player. That's this whole thing. They're like, you can't get anywhere unless you beat people's asses and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, you are still working in a team. Like,
soccer is famous.
It's blatantly telling you that that's not what you're doing.
Football is famously like the players are the ones who will like fall to the ground if you touch them. Of all the ones to be like, this is sports. That's why it's like funnier to me because it is like this isn't. I don't view this as like the aggressive sport where it's like anything can happen. This is the one where it's like you can just see videos of someone tapping someone on the shoulder and them like crying and like getting like wheeled out. Like,
I mean, we already saw.
It's already kind of a joke in the real world.
Sure,
we saw. Oh, don't say that.
People getting
about football.
People getting taken out for like like they're taking a flop because they're abusing like the rules.
My brother loves soccer, and I used to go to watch him play soccer. And
not the sport soccer in itself, but the fact that they'll take dives like that. That's the joke. Yeah. I'm aware that comments are already out before I was given time to clarify that.
No, you're fine.
But there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, they already have a character that was like, no. Like, I'm not gonna do this. You're telling us to do this thing. Egos aren't good. For that guy. I was also. But we already have that person that we've seen go through that. Say, team is most important thing. It's not just you on the field. And he kind of did that too. And then it fucked him up in the beginning. But I just didn't take it as seriously as you took it.
I mean, I'm not saying I like took it to all of it to heart, but I just did look at it through that lens, and I just did think that it was a very interesting message to put out. It's like saying like, of course there are things. Did you
view this as a story about like loners?
No, I view this as a story about ego and about leaning hard into your ego and about stepping on others to get where you want to get.
Which you relate to as a child.
No, I didn't read this as a child.
But from your childhood, you relate.
I related to Naruto and Bleach, which is what I said earlier. Not Blue Lock, but I did like Blue Lock as entertainment. Just like saying like there are movies like John Wick, and it doesn't mean that because they're hyper exaggerated violence that I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, but I think this is dangerous because people are going to start getting violent. I'm not that person. I'm just saying it was an interesting.
Kids are going to start becoming members of the League of Assassins and shooting each other in the face.
Yeah, 13-year-olds are going to be in charge of killing each other, but you didn't think about that?
Well, I mean, these kids, are wild. These kids are wild. They're aggressive, and they all have monsters inside of them. And I did think there was a lot of interesting things done here, and a lot of unique things done here, and a lot of like, I think it was an amazing story. What makes a story entertaining? This had all of it to me, and I don't want to take away from it at all because it really served its purpose, which ultimately I think is to entertain.
Definitely, and that's why I enjoyed it so much more because I was like, okay, here we go, another. Sports anime, this is going to be the same, we all work as a team. We're all doing, which I was like, okay, cool. This is kind of how people are thinking in their brains when they're playing sports. It's about my team, but it's also about moi. So I like that aspect of it. But why don't we just jump into the synopsis?
I mean, we could start breaking it down. It starts out, like you said, at a game. And our main character, and I have everything written down.
It opens up with the classic sports, soccer, the thing, and then the thing of the cup, and here's the top ones.
Yeah.
And then that shot they like doing of explaining like this is what the thing is.
Yeah. And just real quick too, in case you don't know, I do feel obligated because there are a lot of people who watch our videos or listen to our episodes that don't know about the series. So I just wanted to say, if you're one of those people, a very brief synopsis is their coach will be Igo Jinpachi, who intends to destroy Japanese loser football by introducing a radical new training regimen, isolating 3 young forwards in a prison-like institution called Blue Lock, and put them through rigorous training aimed at creating the world's greatest egoist striker. And so it opens with our main character, whose name is Isigai Yoichi, and he is on a soccer team. I think a high school soccer team. They're in mid game. It's the final moments of the game. They're down 1 point. He has possession of the ball. He's running down.
And the enemy
field.
team is up 1 point, which I know that about soccer, which they'll
Yeah,
always
good.
just be. It'll be like 1-0 or 1-2.
Yeah, I think soccer is notoriously one of those sports that has like very low scores.
Yeah,
I have no idea anything about soccer,
that's just
like whatsoever.
that's a joke I know where they'll be like, "Oh my god, that was the most intense game I ever saw," and it'll be like 2-1.
Yeah, yeah. I mean that is soccer. I mean that's what I think makes basketball a little more entertaining, but it's not about that.
I like how there's different points for things.
There's more, and I like that. And so it's the final moments. He has possession of the ball. It's up to him. He has the opportunity to shoot the winning goal. But the words of his coach and just what he's been taught his whole life about teamwork and about all for one, one for all are ringing in his ears. His teammate's wide open. He has a better chance of making that goal. He passes it to him. He takes the kick and he misses, and
God.
they lose the game.
Damn it.
And even in that moment, the intensity in his head, he's like, nationals. If I make this, we go to nationals.
Well, they tie, and then they'll have the opportunity later.
Yeah.
And I love all the eyes in this manga, like the eyes, the intensity, the like pure like drive to get the ball. Like it's just like it's monstrous because he has the monster. It's so awesome.
The
like,
character design alone in this series is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like,
they start they show the guy with like covered in tattoos and
Yeah.
stuff. And they're like, oh, no, visually very nice.
yeah.
Like usually they just look like people, which I also like. But I like how it was like, okay, well that's that guy, that's this guy.
I thought it was so well drawn. Like when you said that you brought up the point of the eyes, like the art is just amazing.
yeah, the art's
Amazing.
super cool. I think I wrote his down. He Nomura Yusuke?
I think it's a different artist.
Artist in the story, yeah, but he's insane. He has another manga I was looking up called Dolly's Kill or something like that, and it looks freaking awesome. Like I would love to read that,
Yeah.
but just like that just sold it to me. Like it's awesome.
Yeah, it sold everything, the intensity, the emotion, and in that final moment, his dreams are crushed. He realizes they're not going to be able to tie to go to nationals. They're not going to be able to go to nationals at all, and he's thinking to
If they
himself,
tie, do they get to go?
overtime. It's
Like-
overtime, and then the game gets extended.
Like I understand the rules so little. Like if they tie, they don't like both get to go.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
The game where like most games will only have like, let's say basketball has 4 quarters. If in the final moments of the 4th quarter you tie, then a 5th quarter will be added. So you'll get like an extra round.
You know what? I would gladly read a manga about hockey.
Really? Why hockey?
Well, one, they get to have fights. They
do get to
That's
have
one of the
fights.
systems is you get to just fight,
Mhm.
and then I like that it's more aggressive,
It's on ice.
and it's on
Fury.
ice. So
hard.
It's already the elegance of an ice skater, and then they like have to throw hands every now and then.
Yeah.
Did you see the Goon?
Yeah, I actually did. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Yeah. I mean, I'm more of a fan of Yuri on Ice. Nothing.
Now here's what I'm saying: we combine the two. The
I'm
Goon on
in.
ice.
Oh my
I'm in.
god,
I'm
a
all the
hockey
way in.
player that retires from hockey to do figure skating and he brings the intensity. Oh, you want to switch it?
I was thinking the opposite.
Oh, figure
although
skater goes
I'm
to
not
hockey.
against the other one.
Yeah, I
either.
know. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
funny.
maybe we're on to our own manga.
He's just too
series.
much of a brute to start figure skating, and they're like, you have to be more elegant. But
Beautiful.
like his bruteness makes him be able to do things that other figure skaters can't.
Yeah. I like this.
Yes.
I like this. And I like this. Blue Lock, too. Yeah.
By me saying I would read this means I don't want to read this.
You don't want to read more of this?
No.
Would you watch it?
I do.
I'm hard out on this.
Really?
I definitely want to and would love to read more.
I'm sad that you guys didn't like this as much as I
I
did.
liked it
Josh
a lot.
loved it. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
I liked it a lot.
You
We're
liked
not
it
the
a
same.
lot.
We're not the same person.
Kinda.
In your
Whoa! Cut the cameras. Turn off these microphones. We got a score to
I'm
settle.
just kidding.
I just wanted to be the most offended I've ever been in my life.
Whoa!
Yeah, I figured by me not reacting would make you look bad.
Oh.
Touche. You did your job. I look like a real asshole right now. I really did like it. As a story, I loved it. And I would continue to read it. And I want to continue to read it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Didn't know I had to sell you on it. But
Like you heard all of that and you're like, man, Josh is out on it.
Josh hates this.
Honestly, I wasn't paying attention.
That's
Wow.
fair.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, you guys. It's a joke.
You really hurt my feelings.
No. No.
But yes, I really like the way the stakes were, and he's the stakes were set, and he fails, and it feels like I feel the weight of it, and they're having a discussion, and he's like, a lot of these kids aren't going to be here next year.
I love that goodbye, that end speech, which was just that's where it felt kind of like a comedy too, of like, this will probably be the last time you ever played football.
Yeah. Or ever see each other, or ever. I mean, this is it for a lot of you guys. This was it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, like some people, like especially in like middle school, high school, like you are training to be in like a national team, much with like basketball, and like if you don't get to a good college and you can play football there, then really you get scouted. But you have to be really good. Like there's so many systems you have to go through with like sports and stuff that are like insane to put on like a 17-year-old child. Sure, so it's so much pressure, and it's like, oh well, that's my life's over. I'm not gonna play soccer ever again because I'm not gonna get anywhere with it. So bye.
Yeah, and
it is interesting because it's like, oh, you didn't play that for fun at all.
Yeah.
No. Because they're like, well, we lost. Well, I'm never playing soccer again. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
I mean,
career
maybe
path.
years down the road, they'll join like a men's league or something.
Oh, that's
even a little more sad.
I'm just kidding. No, it's fun. It's a hobby.
Sure. But anyway, yeah. So, but I really felt this, and for him, all the eggs are in that basket, in that like soccer basket. And he idolizes real soccer players. This weaves in and out of actual fictional or non-fictional events. There's even a scene at the beginning where the board of the athletic board of Japan or whatever is talking about how they almost in real life won a championship in 2018. They were like in the top 16, and it was the closest they'd ever been, and it was the first time Japanese soccer had been respected on a global level, and now they want to raise it up a notch, and they want to take it to the next level and make it to the championships and win the championships or the World Cup or whatever, so you know what the end goal is for them, and you believe that and buy into that too, because it is backed by some realness.
Yeah, like I think at one point Japan actually hired a coach that wasn't Japanese. I think he was Russian or something. They kind of like mentioned it at the end of the first chapter, I believe, like little notes, which I really like.
Was it German?
It was German?
I don't know. I just remember I remembered someone brought up Germany again. I'm like, wow, Japan loves Germany.
Yeah. But they brought in a guy, and they're like, maybe we should bring in someone else that's foreign, so then we can just, make them lose or whatever. And it reminded me of this show called Ted Lasso. I don't know if you guys saw it.
No.
It's pretty good. It was with Jason Sudeikis, and he's like this guy from Alabama who's a football coach, and then they bring him in to do football in the UK, and he's like, oh, I don't know anything about football, and they just brought him in to make the team lose, but then it actually just like worked out because he's just like teamwork, and everyone worked together.
That's super common too. Like they hire people from all over just because at the end of the day they're interested in winning, and that makes sense.
But in this case, they're like bring someone in so that they lose.
That way, it's not a Japanese person's fault that we lost.
Yes, that was
for sure. Yeah. But
that was the whole thing.
Yeah, and so he is devastated. He's on his way home, and he is running it back in his head. If I wouldn't have passed, and he's got a pretty good. This is the other thing. He's got a pretty good head on his shoulders at the beginning of the series. He's on his way home. He's devastated. He's hurt, but he's going home and he's thinking about what happened in the game, and he's like, if I wouldn't have passed, like I could have won. And he stops himself and he says, like, I can't think that way. I gotta keep moving forward. I can't live in the past. It's not about that. It's about teamwork, and it's about this and that. And then these kids, run up to him, and he has a breakdown.
I felt that. I could hear the scream. I was like, fuck, dude. Those moments when you just lose and you can't blame anyone else. Like, it's just the way it is, and you're just like, fuck.
I've been there. I've been in positions where I've been that emotionally devastated. And it sucks. And that's what helped me feel it. That's why, like, even though it is an exaggerated thing, like a lot of it, like, I was like, man, it can't be a joke. Like some of this stuff is like very real,
I mean, yeah, I've been there too.
Yeah.
It just I just met this guy and he had his like a big emotional moment. So, I mean, yeah, it's a thing that like I can relate to, but they didn't set it up me caring about him going through it.
I mean, I did. I cared about him. I cared about him already at that point. And, he goes home. He doesn't know what he's going to do. He has this whole conversation with himself about giving up his dreams. He's like, maybe it's time for me to just admit that I'm not going to do this, and that it's going to be impossible. but I have one more year, and we'll see what happens. And he goes home, and his parents are also not like, I don't want to say they're not supportive, but they're not supportive. He tries to tell them about a dish that his mom cooked him a dish. And he's like, no, you're supposed to eat those meals, I'm assuming, that are like high in protein, like before a game, not after a game. And they both are like, gotta be honest with you, we don't know shit about soccer. And, we don't really care to know anything about it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, usually especially in America, the parents have to be all in. Like if you are a sports parent, like they're always at every game, they're always telling you what to do, listen to your coach, blah blah. I just feel like they're so overpowering. I mean, that's anything. I mean, with sports like gymnasts, soccer, basketball, like I just feel like the parents are super in, but these guys are like, that's just your hobby, you do you, we don't see any future in this.
I mean, they do though. I mean, they do see that he can go to school and get an education from that. They just from my understanding, they just are like, we don't care about soccer. Like we get it that you're good at it, and people we know you're good at it, but we just like, I don't know what that means.
Snow blue. It's no blue period.
Snow blue period.
I'll say I'm more on board for the blue period guys' struggles than I am for this. Because I mean, again, if there was a story about like I need to be the world's best water polo player, I would be like, or I need to be the best cricket player, I'd be like, I mean, good for you.
Well, I like it because it didn't start off the story like that. He just wanted to go to school. He wanted to be in the national. He wanted to be like this guy that he idolized, another football player. But then it kind of turned into that, where it's like he's just put in this position where it's like, okay, well, now you have to fight to be the best one.
That's when I started being interested in the story, where it gets like sci-fi with it.
It
and
totally
it's like,
did. It was like so over dramatic, like insanity.
I'll be honest. I connected with him in that moment where he was really upset at himself. But I mean, I wasn't like all the way on board. But as soon as those other things happened, both feet were in. Instead of having one foot in, one foot out, I was all the way in.
Yeah, I put a foot in when the ball dropped.
I put my foot on the ball and I kicked it around a little bit, felt the ball under my feet, did a little quick change, and then I was back on the field.
Wow.
Back on the field? You left the field?
I left the field for a little bit. I was in the back on the sidelines, and I was like, should I do this?
You were playing with the ball while you were on the sidelines?
Yeah, it's just for practice purposes. But then I got on the field, felt the grass, and then
you felt it?
Yeah,
with
I felt
your feet?
You were barefoot?
No, with my hands.
Oh, you were crawling.
You were on all fours.
I was on all fours, and then I got up, and I was like, oh, the grass feels...
it's not against the rules.
It's not against the rules, and I was like hitting my head with the ball, and I was like...
You were doing that. Wow. I didn't know we were sitting next to Cristiano Ronaldo.
I'm Pele.
I know Ronaldo is for sure a thing.
Is Pele a character?
I know Pele because of The Simpsons.
Oh, see, then, yeah.
Because he advertised tinfoil.
Oh,
then you know
soccer.
Then
you know soccer. Yeah. You know football.
Yeah, you get it. But yeah, and so he's recruited. He gets home. He's recruited by this mysterious organization. It seems he's given a letter that tells him he needs to meet at a certain place at a certain time.
Was it a letter or an email?
It was a letter, because he carries it with him to the place, and it's got a little map on it. And he's like, they tell me to meet here, but not anything else.
And that's where he meets the character that beat him pretty much in the other team. Yeah, in the other team, and he's just like this cool guy. He's just like, oh, hey, buddy. He's like, oh, my God, he's actually talking to me. This is crazy. And he's just like, oh, we're in this. No one's answering their phone. It's pretty crazy. He's just like he even like says like, this guy's so personable. And he's so nice.
He's like, I guess it's possible that you can be talented and nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's just like, yeah, I mean, if we were on the same team, probably great. I always like that. Someone pointing out there was like, oh, he's on the enemy team. It's like, I mean, the only difference is he's just not on your team.
Yeah, you would love if he was on your team.
Yeah, and then you guys can also, like, just still play a game.
Yeah, so just someone's like, yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was kind of cool, though, to see him, like, be respected. I mean, I guess he doesn't think highly of himself. And so when he was like, oh, this guy who beat us and who was getting all the attention, he's the golden boy of soccer, like, knows who I am, acknowledges my game, and during our game was imagining us being on a team together. Like, it was a cool little moment for him.
He blushed a little bit. I was like, oh, this is cute. They're going to have a good relationship.
It makes what happens later a lot more impactful.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I like that character. I liked his journey throughout it, but we'll talk about it then.
Yeah. And you guys tell me when you think there is a spoiler mark at any point.
I would think now.
In this.
Might as well.
I mean,
'Cause
because I would say it's probably what I would personally not like to spoil for people.
is the result of the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because in the synopsis, it tells you that they go to a facility and things like that happen. But the results of that first sort of test, I think that's
Okay.
And we'll talk about it.
I agree with
but
that.
we'll put a clear spoiler mark down, which you can see also down below if you're watching on YouTube.
Who are we? Oh
who
my
are we?
god.
And if you have read the series, or if you don't care about the series being spoiled, you can listen past. But we're not there yet. So they realize that they've gotten. This is another crazy, awesome moment. He's having this moment where he's like, "This guy acknowledges me. I'm special. I got called to this mysterious place. It's about soccer. They want me. Wow, that means so much, especially now. I need this more than ever now." And he opens the door, and there's a sea of people. Which just is like, you're not special, at least not as special as you thought you were. You're a dime a dozen, kind of.
That's always the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they said like of 300 people, I'm like, well, I mean, from a country of recruits, it's probably pretty select amount.
It's still pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you were out of the entire United States, if you were chosen to do anything out of 300 other Americans, I'd be like, Cody's pretty good at that thing.
Yeah, that's why it was always like it always just didn't hit a threshold for me of like if it was like 10 people or 1,000. If it was like if they were like we got 1,000 people, I'd be like, oh wow, yeah, that's not. But like 300, like that's a pretty good number to be considered like eligible to be the best player in your country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's something that I really liked about it, and I think this is where it might even start picking up for you a little bit. We meet the main coach character, who is, in my mind, aesthetically at least, he's like a combination of like L from Death Note and like Hoshina from Kaiju number 8. Like he's got like Hoshina's hair and he's got like L's eyes, and he's just like
the vibe of the guy from Kaiju number 8.
Yeah, right, a little bit.
The instructor of that one.
Yeah. And he's a very lanky, long neck, skinny,
he's
like
scary a little bit. He's totally scary. And right when I saw him, I was like, oh shit, this guy is gonna do some crazy shit. He's so intense.
Yeah. He's who Japan has called in, and I think he is a Japanese person as well, specialist to breed or to create or to make a
Yes, that's when the series takes its big turn where it's a breeding program.
It's a breeding program.
And I was like, oh my
It's
god.
a high school breeding program.
Yes, where it's like you have to all like combine your material into one essence.
yeah.
Like, that's like, I see why people are like, this is a crazy.
See, this is controversial.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, he tells them, he's got some questionable methods. They've given him free reign though, and so he presents to them this idea, and he breaks it down to them in a nutshell like this. The world of Japanese soccer has heavily relied on their team playing ability. We are a culture of soccer players that is very good at passing the ball and moving the ball around, but that's why we suck, and that's why we will never be great, and that's why we will never win. The only thing that's going to make us win is an ego. Like, we need someone who not only like believes that they're the best, but is the best and walks like they're the best and acts like they're the best. And in a culture of complementary people, we need people who are like a little more like selfish, I guess. And he's pointing to like a lot of these other kids, they're professional soccer heroes. He's like, do you know what this person from this country said after a world championship when they asked him about his teammates? He's telling them it's not about team. Forget team. There is an I in team, and it's Isagi. Yeah, the main character.
Wow, good one.
Yeah. I looked down really hoping his name started with an I. What a gamble. And yeah, he's telling them that we have to forget. Did you write that down?
No. I was just double checking too.
He says you have to erase everything that you know about not even just soccer, but just team playing sports in general. Like
yourself.
Yeah. Think about yourself and only yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to survive.
And this is
oh yeah, go ahead.
it just leads to where they're like, we like got this like whole stadium where like, you all have rooms and like we'll provide bunk. and all that stuff, and we're gonna condense this down to one person, and we'll get anyone who fails. You can't play soccer ever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Well, you can't play soccer for Japan. Ever.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, you can leave
Yeah, you can leave and you can play soccer, but you'll just never be able to represent Japan.
because I got to figure if you place second in that. Of like, I entered like an experimental government program to create like the top player in our country, and I was number 2. People would be like, you can
Yeah.
absolutely would want you.
Yeah.
But like, what's their plan for a team? Like, are they like, we're also like getting like the world's best goalies and stuff too?
I think they just lack a striker.
They have
lack
everything.
They lack a striker, and also there is another character who is a different position. I think a midfielder that we do meet later, who is supposed to also be a prodigy. And so I think maybe we're going to see the rest of the team be a
I would be interested if they like, this is like Japan has devoted their entire resource into like a stadium for every like part in a soccer team.
Very
It's like-
expensive.
Yeah.
Yes, and then what? And then we'll win the World Cup.
Yeah. This does feel
Sweet.
like a Hunger Games-esque, like assassination classroom-esque thing, because it's like it's like a pentagon kind of shaped building with each building has a letter of the alphabet, and then inside there are multiple teams. They live there. They don't get to go home. Their meals are given to them. Their meals are based on their performance. Like,
yeah, I like that.
yeah, it's very also, like the synopsis says, it's very prison-like.
Which the facility is called Blue Lock.
Blue Lock. They're
Yeah.
locked in.
Yeah.
Why blue though?
I was about to.
Because they're blue when they're there.
Is that
Maybe.
is that going to be the color of their jerseys?
Oh, that'd
And
be
they have
kinda
that
cool.
locked in.
Maybe.
But yeah, and,
Or they're
and
like, the building is we're gonna make it's like a lockdown, and
it's like lockdown, and they got blue balls.
which they'll have until they
Very true. Well, maybe
either
not.
pass or get eliminated, or depending on, some of them won't.
Yeah, some of them won't. Anyway, it's at this point that the story really gets moving, and it really gets interesting because he's telling you everything that every sports manga and everything about us as people know about sports in general. Like, forget team, be selfish, have an ego. At first, the guy that he met outside is not having it. He's like, absolutely not. I can't be here. I have another game that I have to play. I have a team. He tells him, you're never going to make it in here. Forget team.
And I wanted to ask, like, in your copy, did he cuss a lot?
The
instructor?
not that a little bit, yeah, but
Yeah.
not like a lot. Yeah.
No, but it was just like, I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, like he is.
He's like, are you that effed in the head?
I mean, he's
I
a
was like,
little like
Jesus Christ.
he's a little like too like I forget the actor's name, Jameson, J. Jonah Jameson.
What has he been in?
Well, he's a character from Spider-Man.
Yeah, who played him?
Oh, the guy who played him? Wasn't that would be the guy who was the instructor
In
of
Whiplash.
a jazz drummer.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm also like,
Oh, yes, the head of the Daily Bugle.
I feel so
yes, J. Jonah
embarrassed
Jameson.
yes.
that I cannot remember his
Yeah,
name.
he's great.
He's in so many things. Whiplash was another thing where it's like, I mean, I don't care if this guy becomes a good jazz drummer.
It's
I
like, I
did.
can relate it to Whiplash because that shit was crazy. He's also a crazy instructor,
He's
and the
also-
stakes
yeah.
are so high.
Whiplash it didn't make me cry, but I was so emotional after that movie. And like really fucked up after that movie. I thought it was a beautiful.
I saw the first 10 minutes because my roommate loves movies like that.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
You didn't watch it?
no,
I
he's
feel
like,
like you would like that movie.
he like leaves after, and the guy's like playing drums, like, nah. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's really good. But I also I got to disagree with you, Megan. I think he would hate it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Cody surprises me sometimes with what he likes and he doesn't like,
It
which is interesting because he doesn't
Yeah.
like a lot. But I have faith.
the things that I like, I really like, and you won't even acknowledge at all.
Like what?
Heroes Die.
Okay.
Okay, perfect example. Moving on. But yeah, so the guy who was on the opposite team, who's the golden boy of soccer, is in disagreement, strong disagreement. He's saying absolutely not, and our main character starts to really process it, and he, he's sort of every doubt he ever had is being like reaffirmed by this guy. He's saying, or everything that he thought to be true that everybody was telling him is not true. This guy is saying like, you're right.
Yeah, and everyone's backing him up. Everyone there is just like, no, like, your team is everything. Like, you're fucking wrong, blah, blah. And he's like, well, there's the door.
Yeah.
You can leave.
Yeah, and
There's going to be someone here that will stay and be successful, but the rest of you can just F off.
Yeah. And, the main character, I think, is the first to bolt towards the door. He pushes the other guy aside who was really nice to him, and he was just like, this is my only shot. This is all I have. This is my last chance, and I'm not going to lose it, to miss it. And he runs in, and then everybody runs in after him, including the guy who was against it. He was like, all right, fine. You got me. I do love soccer.
Yeah. I'm going to try to not have my name tarnished and never play in Japan's league ever. So I'll try.
Yeah. And they're in their dorms. And where our characters, the group of characters that we meet, are the characters from Building Z, which is... maybe that's a spoiler, so I'll just, in case it is, I'll save it. But they're in Building Z. They're all given badges that represent where they're at, and their number in this system, and they're given the rundown of what the facility is going to do for them and what they're going to expect within the facility, and they're immediately tasked with their first sort of test, which is a game of tag involving a soccer ball that will last like 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Whoever is hit by the ball is it, and whoever still has the ball and has been hit by the time the timer runs out is out, and they have to leave. And I want to say anything after this is going to be a little spoilery, but just in case there are a few people that might stop listening here or might skip ahead later, I do want to say, if we've interested you at all so far, I would say, Cody has a different opinion, I would say definitely check this out.
Mm-hmm.
I would say check out.
Wow. I mean, I don't like that that's your answer, but
But
I like
that's solid
that,
wordplay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel that strongly either, but I'm like, I can't not.
Well, usually when you check out, you buy something.
I know,
well, you
and I was
mentally
I was
check out.
hoping that you wouldn't call me out
I
on that.
did.
But mentally check out also works.
Okay.
So I mean, it was definitely something that could be abused in that way. But I feel like in timing wise,
No, you did. You did better, but I just kind of.
Yeah.
and I mean, that's not to say that your wordplay was bad.
No, not yours either. No.
And Megan, you obviously really enjoyed this as well.
Yes, definitely check it out. If you like Hunger Games-esque battle royale stories, I think this is going to be a great one so far. I'm super excited. Even we'll talk about where they're ranked. It's just like, how can they even build up off of that, or like whatever. I'm just excited to see.
If I hear that they go crazy and lean more toward the Hunger Gang angle, I might.
You won't.
You won't.
I couldn't even finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you can't.
yeah.
You
If
don't
it gets crazy and they're like, and now people are gonna start dying, I'd be like,
What?
Yeah.
I would be like, okay.
We're killing them off. You don't get
Yes.
fired.
It
you
doesn't
get...
feel like dying is off the table. I got to be honest. But Megan, now that we have, said what we have to say in our non-spoiler section, if only there was a sound that could alert people to there being spoilers.
It's spoiler time. Spoiler time.
You found it the second time. I like it. Yeah. Welcome to the spoiler section. Of
Oh man,
Volume
our
One.
Play
favorite,
ball!
our favorite section in
Yeah.
the spoiler
do
zone.
they say play ball?
Sure.
Oh.
They have to. I mean, they have a ball they play with.
Play football.
Play ball.
Olay.
Olay.
This was my favorite part of the story. This
Yeah.
chapter. This chapter was by far one of the coolest things I've read in a long time. It was I really feel passionately about this second chapter. I thought like the stakes in watching a character make that choice that he ultimately made was a roller coaster.
Story wise, I was confused as to why. Like, I don't see how this system leads to better players.
Well, he even says it.
He breaks it down.
explains everything, Cody.
Well, yeah, but like that's like but like one guy who was on the ground the whole time, and it's like who was getting just the balls like kicked at him constantly, and it's like, well, he was the weakest link in this area.
Yeah, but you always have the
so they do
sleepy-
say like, oh, well, that guy didn't you didn't take the shot at him. But it's like, yeah, but like you're not even viewing him as a rival to these people. You're viewing him as a point maker, but he still passes.
Yeah, you always have to have the sleepy character.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's because
That's like always
just because he
have a
might not
slave.
have the skill at that moment in time, he does have something in him the spirit or the will, because he even has his story about working at a temple and how he does not want to go back to that temple, and he's going after whoever he has to go after too. So he has the spirit of an egoist in him too. So even though he's not great yet, like he can get better at soccer, and especially in this facility.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, he was a monk.
Yeah.
So the egoist, who I'm seeing, like, there's a monk character who was like on the ground, like just losing completely, and I'm like, I don't know, I like if So it's like, okay, we don't care about like a good player.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're seeing who's gonna play dirty to get to the top and use their ego in their favor.
Yeah, they're more, I think, interested in like who can play dirty and be good, but more.
But that's the thing. Is like, well, that guy wasn't like playing good.
But I think more
or like that dirty.
At a certain point, he went after someone who was like, maybe not dirty, maybe he was just doing the only thing he thought he could do. But I mean, he went after the main character because it was the only person he thought he could go after, even though they were kind of friendly too. Not as friendly as the other two guys, which again, we're in this room with all these people and they all have their different quirks, their different personalities. One guy looks exactly like a character from Bleach Ichigo, down to his hair, down to his face.
I was just thinking, like, you know what this reminds me of?
Were you thinking that? Cody, I would be so happy if you were actually thinking that.
You know what? Yeah. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I was thinking about, like, is that my boy Ichigo?
boy?
Let me get my bleach.
Me and you are kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sure.
Ooh.
But yeah, so he meets all these characters. They all have their different personalities, and the game begins. The character who's really bad is ranked 300, the worst of the worst. And our main character is ranked 299, which means he's second to worst out of 300. Horrible odds. And you think, like Megan said, how are they going to, like, they're at the bottom of the totem pole. I understand this is a story where they're probably going to rise through the ranks, but how? The game begins. The ball drops from the hatch in the ceiling.
And this was like the point where I actually like started paying attention, really, of like, oh. Because that's when I was like, oh, that's so absurd that I'm like, oh, like if they're taking it this seriously, like with like they're having hatchets and stuff, I'm like, okay, is this a comedy?
No.
No.
In the sense where if it was, I would have liked it.
No, it's not a comedy.
Definitely it being a comedy did not cross my mind a single time during reading this.
You didn't think that was a little funny?
I thought it was a little much, but I didn't think it was funny.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was like, that's a little much. Either way, the timer starts, the game begins. Everybody, goes after the weakest character, or the weakest character is it first, actually. And he goes after the person right above him, the main character. He hits him, yada, yada, yada. It gets to a point where now the time is running out. Our main character has the ball. He makes the only choice he thinks he can make, which is to go after the weakest guy. And right before he's about to go after him, he says, like, I'm not here to be the same person I always was. I'm here to grow. I'm here to get better. I'm here to change. And if I hit him, then I'm gonna be at the same skill level, and I won't deserve this spot. So I'm gonna go after basically one of the strongest people here, and he does. And at a certain point, I forget exactly how it happens, but at a certain point, he hits, I think, the guy who looks like a girl, or
the sleepy one.
Yeah.
And so they have the ball, and they, in a moment, in like the final few seconds, they have a moment where they can hit the friendly golden boy of soccer.
He has an injury.
No,
the monk does.
The monk guy kid has an injury.
Yeah.
But she has an opportunity, or I mean, he I kept seeing them as a girl for some reason. Very cute.
I thought they were until it was like, because even when a character says, like, a character looks like that and they'll call them him, like, I can hear at any point they go like, actually. Yeah. So I don't believe it until I'm given like absolute confirmation.
Same. And so they pass the ball to the main character. If the main character does not, it moves out of the way or doesn't do anything, like, they're gone forever. But instead, and it's something that's talked about later, the main character in that moment has an opportunity to take out the strongest guy in his room and takes it. And he hits the guy who was so nice to him but moments ago and basically ruins his entire soccer career.
And I don't even think it was on purpose, right?
It was.
Oh, it was? Oh, I thought
100,000,000%.
Oh, I thought he did on accident.
That was
He
the whole
like,
point.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he
No,
was
the
trying to
whole
hit the
point
drunk
was
guy.
that he was extremely aware of what he was doing. And that's what made it so much more powerful. And that's why it like affected him the way he did
He was
too.
like,
because
oh, fuck, I just did that.
even later he says like, why I know I did that purposely, but why did I do that? And why do I feel so excited about doing it? Why do I like that I did that?
Yeah. And then immediately the guy's like, okay, no, this is not how it's going to go. This is stupid. This whole game is stupid. You're wrong. And the guy's like, well, actually, the proportions of this room are actually the size and diameter of the end goal. And I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking awesome. He totally just like completely disregards everything. It's like, it's not just a stupid game. It's actually really calculated and you lost. So
and he's like, well, in soccer, it's an X amount of minutes in a game. What is 2 minutes and 16 seconds? And he's like, well, divided by 11 characters, each player, especially a striker, will usually have possession of the ball, blah, 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 which totals up to 2 minutes and 16 seconds and yada, yada,
you
yada.
wouldn't say this in a game, right? That's
Well, yeah,
what he
you
says.
wouldn't,
I was like,
because
oh
he says
my
I had no
God.
choice. That I had no choice. I was hit. There wasn't time left. He's like, you actually had 1 second left, and instead of doing anything in that 1 second, you chose to just admit defeat.
Oh, shit.
But the real big moment was when he's like, this is not how this works. Like, this is dumb. And then he starts like tearing people down around him, especially the main character.
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
like, you think that these guys are better than me? Like, these guys are terrible. Like, I'm better than these guys. And this game doesn't prove anything else. And to the point where the emotions and the expression on his face, like, he is unraveling.
Desperate,
So
like
he
desperation.
has a pretty big ego.
He has a pretty big ego,
Yeah,
yeah.
towards the end when he loses, it's
I see your logic now.
total monster mode. But then he looks at the main character just like, you are dead.
Yeah, I see the flaw.
So I'll just throw that in there. I'm probably gonna start just keeping my mouth shut.
No, I see it.
But like, yeah, I'm just like,
Why keep your mouth shut? I like your mouth wide open.
yeah, but just like, yeah, I mean, because it is like, oh, he has a breakdown where you can see like, oh, his true character is not so much that he's like all nice and stuff when he's on the losing end. But like, that is what happens when you have a very big ego.
And you never
so like,
lose.
you have established that you don't even care if someone's good or not. And you just have witnessed that this guy probably has the biggest ego out of anyone.
Ooh.
Checkmate.
Check.
And now I'm gonna
Mate.
return to the shadows real quick.
No. Stay in the light.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I am just in my head being like,
Stay lit.
before I clarified, I meant that people taking dives in soccer is a joke. Millions of people will kill me.
Yeah. Well, maybe not.
Well, maybe
maybe
a couple
not.
hundred.
yeah. For now.
But I
You never know.
you never know. One can only dream, and speaking of dreams,
And aren't we all just a dream? No, I'm just kidding.
well,
No,
not
you
where I was
bring up a
going,
good
but-
point in that we are but a dream in a
Oh, we
fifth
are.
dimensional prison.
And what is a man without his dream?
And what does it take to achieve a dream?
Mm-hmm.
A monster within,
football within?
Football.
or a monster.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Which is what they say in Blue Lock. And this is interesting because I was listening to, I think, a podcast where someone said, because it is interesting, ego in anything creative or athletic, competitive in general, the idea that there is you can harness your quote unquote flaws and use them to your advantage, right? Like, there are things like, for me, they might be unhealthy, but instead of like trying to fix everything about myself, I can sort of rewire my brain.
Oh, is this how we can bring in the shadow side conversation? Because
Yeah.
now I can. Oh, I've been waiting for this to come up.
Shadow.
Here you go.
Are you familiar with Carl Jung?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh, of course you did.
I'm
Put
excited.
that together.
I am.
Oh!
In fact, the shadow, which is like if you list all of your positive character traits, the opposite of that is your shadow side, which is essentially like what you are at your best. It is the opposite when you're at your worst. So if someone is funny, they're also obnoxious.
Mm.
If someone is, this, they can be that. So if someone is like, confident, they're arrogant. So that's how you can, but you can also view it as the other side, which is your bright side. So if you have a, negative opinion of yourself, if you are arrogant, you can also view it, you can turn that into, well, you have a good sense of confidence in you. So I don't think you can change who you are, but you can rework with what you have.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's like kind of like it's about kind of like rewiring and changing your perspective on it, right? Like the example that comes to mind is like for me, I had a dad who was really admired like work ethic and like didn't like when we would sit around and play video games or watch TV. Like he was always just constantly in our ears, like you're wasting your life, you're wasting your time, like you're gonna blah 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 blah. You need to do something, yada yada yada. And it's like created this like anxiety in me where now like I cannot relax. Like I can have fun, but in the back of my mind, always, if I'm at the beach, if I'm like
Yeah, don't get too
why
crazy.
say the beach like that's a thing
yeah,
you do?
You don't
Well,
like.
well, I mean,
that.
I asked you to, and you refused to go yesterday.
Well, we went to the beach.
like a year ago,
Yeah, with
and
me
you didn't
longer.
even enter. Oh, you did step into the water.
I did.
Oh yeah, no, I think he got in a little bit.
Okay, but like you went there once, like a year ago, and anyway, like if I'm doing something like going to
But
the
my
beach,
point is
going to
that-
parties,
We get the point. I was just.
But my point is also that like, what did I have to do to justify like being at the beach? Was I had to film it, because otherwise like just going to the beach is like I feel like I'm wasting my time. When really like I'm hanging out with friends like and I'm relaxing and I'm having a good time, but in the back of my head I'm like, but what am I not doing? And so it's not a good thing, but you can harness it and flip it and be like, okay, well then I'll just apply it to like the things I want to achieve. So there was the quote that I heard on the podcast was that everybody has a monster inside of them and everybody tries to go to therapy to get rid of that monster. But what if you use the monster to become successful and then you pay a therapist to get rid of it with the money that you made off of it?
That's very dangerous.
It's very
That's
dangerous.
a very dangerous thing to say to people who can't even afford therapy.
Well,
so.
the point is that I can't afford therapy. The point is that like use it to your advantage, and then when you're in a place where you have used it to make money,
I mean,
it's not a.
Let me just.
It's not a
I know
sound.
that you
It's about-
don't 100% agree
Right.
with it, but just let me say this,
Go ahead.
which is, don't take care of your mental illness until
not
you've
it.
made money.
No, it's not saying that.
No.
But obviously, if you everybody should take care of their mental health first and foremost.
And there's different types of therapy. You don't have to go to someone to talk to. You can go to your friend to talk to. You can pick up a hobby that you like to do and relax. But I mean, yeah, that's.
But-
I get the point.
It's more so in line with what you're
I get
saying
the
about
point.
the shadow side. It's more so about that. It's like, yeah, part of I think like rewiring your brain is positive for your mental health. Instead of like viewing it negatively, view it positively.
Because there's no perfect person.
Yeah, and just like apply it to like if you have an addictive personality, instead of being addicted to drugs, and it's not that cut and dry, it's not that black and white, but get addicted to
Flowers.
sure, or no, I mean you know what I mean. And when you say it like that, it makes me sound like an insane, silly.
No,
man.
I know. When I quit smoking, weed, I legitimately just started drinking water.
Yeah,
To the point where it became unhealthy,
sure.
and I had
my
to stop.
God.
Yeah, I get that.
I wish I had that problem.
You
I
can.
mean-
Water rules, man.
Water rules. H2O.
I'm a creature of habit too. That's why, like with the sparkling waters, like I can't put them down. But at least I can't put sparkling water down and not alcohol, which is which was what was in place of that before. I replaced one can with another can that just has a slightly better liquid in it, and not even slightly.
Better,
It's a lot, yeah,
Better's
yeah.
debatable.
It's way better than alcohol.
Tasting,
Yeah, 100% better tasting than alcohol.
not alcohol, like a beer. Like
Yes, 100%. Beer. If it weren't for the effects of beer, I wouldn't drink.
I
beer.
like the taste of Bud Light.
I don't hate.
You
it.
should drink a non-alcoholic Bud Light.
Why?
No, he's
Because you
not
like
sober.
the taste.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
I drink LaCroix when I put vodka in it.
Yeah, I don't drink LaCroix ever. LaCroix.
Yeah, you hate them.
Yeah, I really do.
It masks the taste of alcohol.
I just
pretty good.
don't like
Plus,
sparkling
I've said
water.
it before, Bud Light is a great conditioner.
You have said that before.
God, I don't want you to say it again.
It's
Yeah.
it's utilitarian. I think it's crisp.
The
and
point
it's a natural condition.
You know, that's your monster coming
That's
out
your
right
monster,
now.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
you have to deal with. And
honestly, yes.
and you hone it up.
But the point is,
Scrapyards.
it's a lot of it's a lot of you know, what I like about the series too is that it has an interesting idea, and it does make you question things and look at things and reassess things, and it also is just something that is fun and entertaining. But after that, it leads into the Golden Boy getting kicked out, and then him having to deal with the choice that he made, and having to have that conversation with the person who passed him the ball, and saying that I have a monster inside me too, and my monster told me that to pass it to you because you have a monster as well. And my monster talks to
And
me.
he wasn't coming on to him.
Maybe.
No, they're just like really big Lady Gaga fans.
Oh. Maybe Urasawa fans too.
Oh,
More Lady Gaga though.
Sure. You can't be both?
You
Equally?
can, but like she calls her fans monsters, so there's probably just like a callback to that. Like he has a good poker face. So.
Now I see it.
yeah.
And he says that this is the thing that only talks to me on the field. You know, it tells me, you know, when to take shots, you know, not to pass or whatever. Again,
Not weird. It's weird because like. Oh, I guess I can't really relate this to like theater or like performing, but you do have like a sense of like I've done things on stage that I was just like, whoa, that was weird. Like things that have happened, like someone forgets their lines or someone does this, and you're just like
You start eating them.
Yeah, I start eating them on stage. No, you have to like just do it. Like you just like I've forgotten lines and I've just replaced them with just words, and I'm like I go off stage. I'm like that was not me talking. That was like a freaking monster. Like who was that?
Oh,
like
wow.
it feels so odd and like out
So
of body.
You have been like the spirit of theater has taken over.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean just like bringing like your not I guess best self out, and like you didn't think like I didn't think I could do that. Like thinking about like, oh, if someone forgets their lines, like how the fuck am I gonna chime in or like save it? And you just do it. Like it's just like instinct. I don't know. It's weird.
but to go back to the mental health thing really quick too, like again, like and it's only and not to undermine what you're saying.
Specifically when this is about ego and how like we want that
Yeah.
thing. Like I don't know, like if the ego is the monster to harness.
Exactly. That was my point in the beginning of all of this, and which is something that you did not seem fully on board for, because you thought that.
I wasn't even saying that like I said that. I was just clarifying that you said so.
Oh, thank you, Cody.
Let's try.
But yes, you know, you said bringing out your best self and everything, and this does have like sort of like a, you know, like what does bring out the best in people? Is it really like putting them at odds against each other, or you know, it does like this series. It makes me think a lot, and it raises a lot of questions. It's not just like it can be, I guess, a kick back, relax, and read thing, but for me, it's something I like did dwell on for a while. Like, wow, how do I feel about all of these themes and all of these things? But yes, they have that conversation about monsters, and then you know, they go a little bit more into detail about the meals, and that it's a reward system based on how well they're doing their performance, and that other people in other buildings are getting way better food and way better treatment.
Which is crazy because like he even says, he's like, damn, these meals that I'm getting aren't the best in nutrition. Like I'm not getting all the shit that I need to get. So then that makes them, you know, maybe not play as good as they could have been, which is weeding more of them out. So
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, we're gonna just if we're gonna feed the people that start doing, but like, why not just take them out at that point? Because they're gonna be like running on less.
Well, I think
naturally.
they're feeding them the way I saw it, and I guess I don't know exactly what they were being given, but the way that I saw it is that they're feeding them nutritionally good things, but they're just not preparing them well. Like,
Is that what?
I saw that they're like, oh, he's like, oh, I got natto again. Which
as
is
like
just,
as a reward, as like a snack, as like a dessert.
oh, I thought that's like a meal. That's like a really small.
The way, and again, it was one thing that they were getting as a reward, but they also did mention that they were getting like rice and just like proteins and stuff. But like the one guy got gyoza as a reward. And so they're still getting like nutritionally good things for them. But the other people are eating the same sort of things, but just prepared more, you know, I guess prepared better.
Yeah, it's giving them incentive to be better, so they can go higher up in the
that works.
into the.
There was a
ranks.
reality show where it's like one team, if you were on that, you just got worse food, and the other team just got way better food, and the team that was fed worse food just lost every contest because they were being fed the worst food.
So Survivor?
It was a show that got canceled. It was like it was some time thing where it was like, you're gonna live like cavemen and you're gonna live like people from the future, and cavemen didn't live well.
Yeah.
You don't know that.
They died all. I mean,
everyone has to die.
What?
Okay, Megan. No, this did feel like a reality show at a lot of points too. Like this would be a great Big Brother, because they're forced to all live together. They're all competing for. It did feel.
I would probably be more entertained if it was presented as a reality TV show.
That's what it feels like.
It did feel like that at points.
And people are like, the parents are letting them do this. This seems kind of intense, and that's a little fucked up too. They're like, if you do this, you're never going to play in
buy
Japan.
into that because my dad signed me up for a boot camp, and they really like the things that they did to us and we were like 14, 15 years old. And the things they did to us there, I was like, how can you do this?
I mean, Josh, you were watching Naruto. So,
yeah, to be fair to your dad, you were getting ninja headbands and being like, I'm going to be the Hokage. And your dad's like, I don't even know what he's saying. And you need to beat him.
You need to go Kage to boot camp.
You need to go Kage to boot camp. Like, I'm going to be the #1 boot camp student.
I'm going to be the #1 recruit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, yes, sir.
I believed that the parents would sign off on some stuff like that.
No, it's crazy what people will just let happen to their kids.
Oh, yeah.
Not even insist on.
Oh, yeah.
It makes them better.
And that's what they think is that tough love, It's that tough love. And, there's a lot of ideas now, I think, that people are more open to about, like, that might not be the best thing for people's mental health and growth as people. It might create more problems than it does solutions.
Well, my parents did it, and I mean, look at you. You're sending your children to a military boot camp to be screamed at by a stranger. So maybe.
Yeah, I wonder, it can only be good.
It can only be good things.
Yeah.
They can only learn from it.
And it's, about this time too that, we're getting to the end basically, they get higher rankings, but then they realize that the only reason they got the higher rankings is because one person from each room got kicked out. And so there are 11 people total left. So they didn't get moved up at all.
This isn't a criticism, but like if you were like, say you were like selected of like to be in a class of 300 to be potentially Japan's #1 soccer player, is that not already a huge like merit you could like provide to other people to be like my qualifications?
Sure.
It's like Shark Tank, You go on Shark Tank, I didn't get a deal, but millions of people saw me on TV. Like it's like there's everyone, pretty much all of the things on Shark Tank get picked up from other people from buying them and stuff. So you don't need a shark necessarily, but it always helps.
Yeah, and Shark Tank will be like they'll take the deal on camera and then off camera they'll be like, we're not doing that.
Really?
Yeah. It's fake. Everything's fake.
No, it's not.
There are some things that aren't fake on Shark Tank. I don't know if that's 100% true because I've seen...
There was a guy wrote an article about how he was on Shark Tank and that's what they did. So,
but I don't think all of it is fake because there are products that I've seen.
I meant everything's fake as in like the world.
On Shark Tank?
The reality shows.
Oh, but I've seen products like at Walmart that I've seen on Shark Tank and then I see at Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes they'll be like, yeah, we will take that deal.
Oh,
and American Idol, too.
Yeah.
American Idol, like the second next best will always usually get a record deal.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, it's like, why even, you just have to be on and be good, and they'll be like, they already know that they won. Just being on the show alone is win. Yeah. So, but I don't know how...
But where's Ruben Studdard now?
Did you watch American Idol a lot?
You guys don't even know who he is.
Huh? No. He was the first guy who won?
He was like one of the first people that won.
Kelly Clarkson was the first one.
Kelly Clarkson was the first, and I think he was
Adam Levine.
Clay Thompson. Where is he?
Clay Aiken.
Clay Aiken is his name.
Clay Thompson.
Fuck.
I was like, that
no, Clay Aiken's huge.
Not as big as
he was
Kelly Clarkson.
No, but he had a great deal. Especially like the guy that was like a joke. Like the guy that went, I forgot what song he sang, but whatever. He got
Bang.
Yeah. He was huge because everyone thought
for a while.
Because people were making fun of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but he made money. Okay,
sure.
Make fun of me all day and give me that money. You know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
You would do that too?
I would be a clown for money. Yes.
I feel like a lot of that happens. People just saw that guy rise to fame and were like, I'm gonna do the craziest thing on American Idol just to get some clout.
It's like how all the Family Feud questions are just like, what's something that I don't even want to say the leading questions
Yeah.
they give, but it's clearly so someone will say penis.
Sure.
And then Steve Harvey's like,
yeah, which that's great.
oh yeah, they just feed into it.
That's
It's
great
amazing.
TV.
He's like so surprised that they would say that. He's like, "You're nasty," and it's like hilarious.
Like, some of the questions I'd be like, that's gross that you would ask that because it's like what the answer's supposed to be.
But some of them say some crazy shit sometimes.
Point is,
oh right,
there's also
so
a
they
quick
play,
scene
like,
that we
soccer.
forget. There's also a quick scene that we forgot to talk about where, you know, there is a midfielder from Spain who is like, or from Japan who like went to Spain to play because he thinks that there's no chance of Japan ever winning.
And
very interesting character. He sees the press conference.
He hates being a Japanese person.
Yeah, he hates being
He
a
literally
Japanese
is.
athlete, soccer specifically.
He's like, I was born in the wrong country. I was
Yeah.
like, damn, that's pretty intense. And they're like, you're gonna get us in trouble again for doing that at the press conference. He's like, I don't give a shit.
And he sees at the press conference them say, you know, there's a bunch of people, journalists saying like, well, you're creating one star athlete, but you're ruining 299 others. And they're like, it's worth it. You know, sounds like a deal to me.
That's where like if that like as a joke, I think that's funny.
But they acknowledge it, and I give them credit for that.
I just think it's the absurdity of the whole manga. It's just
It's absurd.
It just wraps it in this bow of just being so intense, and sports just takes it way too seriously in manga and anime. I feel like you have, you know, people look up to other athletes, and you know, I want to be the best volleyball person ever, and then they get to some point, but this is just like, no, we're putting all the stakes up, and you will not succeed.
Yeah, and then, you know, they at the manga, the first volume really ends at this match they're gonna have. They're gonna do, I think they call it a round robin, and they're gonna have to their group is going to have to play another game against another building, and I think the entire team, therefore the entire building that loses is gone.
Woo.
And yeah, and that already made me want to keep reading. I mean, I was into it. And they have that moment where they're like, well, we're all strikers here. And then that's where they kind of double down on the fact it's like, and I don't even know if this is true, but if it's not true, it's wild that they insinuate that it was. But he basically says like, yes, that's how soccer started. Like these positions, you know, the game evolved, but it was to stop. These positions evolved and were created to stop other players from doing these things. So in order to stop a really good striker on an opposing team, you needed a defender. You needed a midfielder, blah, 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 blah. But a game originally in its truest form is a team full of strikers. I don't know if that's true, but a very bold thing to make up if it's not.
I would respect it so much if they just made that up.
Wild.
I do like the character though. You know, he's gonna be a probably like a huge character. He's like, if they're doing this, and I want to see it with my own eyes, and like the eyes again are all like raging with fire and shit for football, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be excited to see these guys play because it is really like not a soccer football game. It's like they're fighting for their lives.
Yeah,
like it's that intense.
It's super intense, and the issue and the first volume ends on them going to that first match, and you know, we've been talking about it for a long time. I really, really, really did enjoy this. I really want to read more. I really loved what it did in terms of flipping what every other sports manga and sports in general tells you should care about on its head. And for the sake of, you know, not being too repetitive, I'll just reiterate that it's a beautiful story, but a troubling concept. Yeah.
I thought it was super entertaining, so much fun. It made me want to play football, even though I know I can't. You know, those anime that just like, oh, I can totally do this. I'm going to go ice skating, and I'm like on the side, like barely ice skating. Think I do figure eights and shit, but you can't. It just gives you that like drive to just be like, oh, yes, competitiveness. Yeah. And I really am excited to watch the anime. Hopefully they do it justice. Like, I'm sure.
Is it officially getting an anime? Because I heard that it wasn't official yet.
I thought it was official.
It might be.
Oh.
But I don't know.
I think. Anyway, though, I really enjoyed it, and it totally blew away my expectations.
Yeah. Cody? Final thoughts, dude. Bring it home. Man.
I have seen Haikyuu because of Megan, and Yuri on Ice because of Megan. So those, I don't care about sports at all, but those managed to make me care about the story more than this did. I mean, I'm like, okay, if I can watch a slice of life and be like, Not for me. If you like slice of life, you'll like it. But it's like, I mean, I didn't feel any like connections like I felt in Yuri on Ice, which is like, you would assume I'd be more off board for something like Yuri on Ice than I would be for this. But it didn't hit any real notes for me in a story.
And once again, that's what you get when you come to Volume 1, a round table of opinions, a square table, a rectangle of opinions.
A triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Prism.
triangle I liked because there's like triangle defense in like some sports, you know?
That's the part you like, not the fact that we form a triangle?
Well, because we form a triangle and triangle defense is a sports thing.
Oh,
So
so
we have-
if I did it as like a reference to that, it would have been great.
Yes.
Well, I thought it was like Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Oh, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity.
Wait, who's the father?
Josh.
Yeah.
And you're the Son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, again, did enjoy it. I think my thoughts, I've made them extremely clear. It is something that I was blown away by and something that I am glad that we ended up reading, and thank everybody for giving us the recommendation. Give us more recommendations. And, Cody's not going to like this, but we are a democracy over here at Volume 1, even though we don't like to get political.
God damn it.
Yeah. Maybe we are super political.
Fuck, I guess we're realizing it
You stop
now.
you're bringing up democracy.
But if you would like to see us do a volume done on this series, all you got to do is leave in the comments volume done Blue Lock and let us know your thoughts. This is a series like every series, but with this series specifically, this is a series that I am like very, very intrigued and really curious to hear your thoughts on. And so if you've read Blue Lock or decide to read Blue Lock based on our review, let us know what you think about it in the comments down below, or jump into our Discord and have a Discord with us in there.
Discourse?
A discourse.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck.
It's okay. It's okay. You used it for,
I tried.
yeah. You never
Maybe
said
I
the real
meant it on
word.
purpose because I
Yeah.
was like, Discord. you know?
Yeah.
Did you?
No. And if you're having trouble with the link down below the Discord, just whatever I do, I try to put the link down there and it keeps expiring no matter what. So instead of putting it in every video, it's also on our About section of the YouTube channel. So you can go there and you can click that link, and that will always hopefully be a working link that you can use to join. And before we get into our Oners Circle, I do want to mention that as well as all the things that we mentioned in the beginning of the episode, and along the lines of reading this series because of this review, one thing that we have got a lot of comments for is that people would like to know what we are reviewing before we review it, so that you can have the chance to read it and experience it with us. So moving forward, we are going to be posting on Mondays, either on our community tab or on our Instagram. We are going to be posting what we're going to be reviewing for the week, and you can see it on Monday. The episode will come out on Wednesday and then another on Saturday. So it'll give you some time to read the series that we're reviewing if you haven't read it yet, so that when the episode comes out, we can all enjoy it and experience it and discuss it together.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
And now we move on to our famous segment, the Oners Circle, where Volume 1 Chen digs and digs and digs and digs through all the comments and finds comments that you've left on some of our previous videos, pulls them for us to respond to, and sometimes react to, and sometimes just have fun listening to. If you want your comment to be read in a future Oners Circle, all you got to do is leave a comment on this video or any of our previous videos. But with all that said, without further ado, Volume 1 Chan, will you read the first comment for us, please?
This one comes from Dicko Ivaldo. The lolly paradox, every wee problem.
Oh.
I don't know if that's every weeb's
I mean,
problem.
it's not a it kind of is a problem in the sense that most
have to
anime and
deal with it?
manga.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah,
That's,
this is, of course, from the Rising of the Shield Hero
mm-hmm.
video.
Mm-hmm.
And, I will say that lollies, people love them.
Yeah.
A lot of people
I
love
mean,
them.
don't lewd the lolly is a term which I stand by completely, badge of honor. Like, just don't do it.
I like that the other way of saying that is don't sexualize the child.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
In other words.
Exactly. But the whole term lolly is like, it could be a child or it could be a 300-year-old dragon. So it's okay.
That's what the I don't even want to say, but that's what that paradox is. It's like when
Yes.
they're a child, but they're also 1,000 years old.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, it's okay to like lewd them. It's like it's never. Don't do it.
Yeah,
just don't
yeah.
do it.
I don't know if it's every weeb's problem, but
It's definitely a problem.
definitely
in
a
the
problem.
Because
community.
there's two ways of that. It's like, oh, every weeb has this problem, or every weeb has to deal with this
It's-
in their entertainment.
It's more deal with, I think, because
Yes.
we got a couple comments too, just saying like, yeah, this happens. You
Which-
can look past it. You can't. If you can't, then don't. But
which
I was expecting the opposite.
same.
yeah, I was very pleasantly
I
surprised.
was expecting a
at,
lot of comments saying that, like, I mean, maybe you should grow up if you can't handle the fact that
Yeah, I was really proud of everybody who was watching and listening for just like
Each week.
each
Each
week
week.
for really having the same opinion, which I think is a pretty morally
sound
opinion to have.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
but yeah.
it would. I mean, if someone was. I mean, it doesn't. People would at most be like, I can look past it,
Mm.
which is the problem every weeb has to deal with. You have to be like, all right, sure, man.
But-
moving on with the story now.
But there are a large amount of people in the anime community, manga community that really seek out those characters, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
you're gonna have your degenerates in any fan base. I think.
Yeah, and this, be a degenerate, but don't lose the lolly. That's the moral.
I think that's
of
the moral.
story.
Don't lewd the lie.
Yeah, just
Or-
just pat them on the head and
don't
move on.
sexualize the child.
Don't
Ah,
sexualize the child.
that too.
Yeah, don't do that.
Volume 1, can you hit us with another comment, please?
This one comes from Golden Goose. You guys make me want to make a manga book club. So cool.
Oh, that's very. That's
If
very
you
nice.
do start one, send us, I guess, your Facebook page or.
Well, I mean, the Discord is kind of like a manga book club.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
It kind of is.
recommendations saying, "Oh, I just finished this first chapter. Have you guys read it?" We always talk about manga that we're reading.
And now that we're going to be posting what we're going to be reviewing ahead of time, so you can read it along with us, it's like almost like for sure a legit book club.
yeah.
So,
I
in
love
other
that.
words, there's already one.
No, start your own and make friends and bond
Or
bond with Volume
Volume
1.
bond.
yeah,
Yeah.
bond with Volume 1.
But that was so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. Volume 1 Chan, can you close us out with one more comment, please?
This one comes from Moses Elias. Volume 1 is just a prologue, TBH, and I would say the real story is started when he comes back to the village. It's one of the big three seinen manga, Berserk, Vagabond, and Vinland Saga, so it gets a lot of comparison to each other, but they're very unique. This whole notion is built from the big three shonen as a basis of comparison and semi-elitism in the seinen community. Not everyone is like that, though. I hope you guys will enjoy the journey.
Now, this, of course, comes from our Vagabond episode,
Which is another one.
episode we were
Another one.
extremely worried about.
Yeah.
These last two episodes, man, very worried.
I was just
Yeah.
like, all right,
The reception.
I'm just not gonna read comments for a bit. I'll just wait for it to blow over.
Oh, but it was so nice that a lot of people had the same thoughts as we did, because I guess it is just kind of like a prologue until it gets to the real meat of the story.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's said, we should definitely read more. I'm excited to
Yeah.
keep going through my vagabond journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a lot on our plate. There are a lot of series that we want to do volume dones on, that we want to do volume ones on. I mean, we have, Pluto that's still on the table. We have, Blue Lock because of this episode. Obviously, we have
Goblin Slayer.
Sure.
We got comments, which you said, that's what you respect, right? You said you respect comments.
I respect everybody's opinion.
I
Oh.
think that maybe you should do a volume done and then record it.
Oh, so we don't respect comments saying we should do volume.
No,
done.
I didn't
That's
say I
very, That's
respect-
very
I do.
interesting.
I
that that's
don't
the angle
respect
you
I respect the
That's
comments. I
very
just don't
interesting,
respect
Megan.
you.
That's back to mean Megan Perrine over here.
She's back.
I'm back. I'm better than ever.
And another thing that we have on our plate that we wanted to share with you at the very end of the episode as well is that this is episode 96, I think, of Volume 1,
Oh
which
my
means
God.
that in a matter of mere weeks will be our 100th episode. Yes. And to celebrate our 100th episode, we have done live shows in the past, and live shows have always been things that are designed to be their own sort of live show experience. But what we would like to try to do and experiment with for our 100th episode is doing a live Volume 1. So it will be the same show that you know and love, but this time you'll be able to be here with us, commenting and giving us your thoughts on the series that we are reviewing. And that series for the live show is Monster Musume.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
Yeah, what better series to really just, have fun reviewing, make jokes, also give honest thoughts on than Monster Musume.
We're gonna give analytical criticism.
Oh, we're going to break it down and back it up. If you know what I mean. Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, so stay tuned. It's going to be our 100th episode. We'll give more details and exact dates as as it gets closer, but just keep an eye on, where the episodes are at. This is 96, so there's a natural sort of way for you to know when it's going to happen. But we'll be posting about it and stuff too. Which is
If you want to know when it's coming up, you
Just
can
look at 99.
send us a message. We'll clarify which episode.
Well, that's why, truly following us on Instagram and stuff and social media and stuff is a great way to do that. We're gonna, like I said, start posting the weekly reviews that we're gonna be doing. We'll give more live show details and all sorts of other things. So
Yeah, also our Discord too. We
Discord
announce every episode that comes out, the day of, and special events that are coming up. So definitely, if you are kind of lost, if you they mentioned this but I don't know where to find this, or I don't know when it's going to be, definitely join those two and you'll know.
Yes. And that is going to do it for another episode of Volume 1, our Volume 1 review of Blue Lock. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening. Thank you for supporting no matter how you can, whether it's just by listening, watching, liking, subscribing, leaving a comment, however you choose to do it. We appreciate every single freaking one of you. But we have to give a special shout out to our wonderful, beautiful, amazing, strong Patreon members. Thank every single one of you. We appreciate you. We see you. We love you. We're grateful. We're humbled. We appreciate you guys so much. We're just every day, just I think so taken aback by your support. And it truly does mean the world to us. So thank you guys so much for your support. And thank you, everybody, for supporting however you can. But if you would like to be a Patreon member, all you got to do is go to patreon.com volume1pod. Hey, all you got to do is go to patreon.com/volume1pod. But the only thing to do now is to get out of here on our outro that's always the same and never changes, which today, of course, is...
Do you have any...
Megan's got it.
Okay. I'm going to butcher it like I always do. Okay, so I wrote this down. Let go my ego.
Sure.
No?
I mean, it's kind of the opposite of the moral of the story, but I mean...
It just works with the pun, and
That's a good point.
It's fun.
I was on board for it.
It's fun.
Let's go, my ego.
Football, more like... Don't stall when it comes to hitting the ball.
I think a more important
Striker,
message...
hardly met her.
Oh!
Hardly
I think
knew
a more
her.
important message is Lego my ego.
Let go my ego.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's a more positive note to leave the episode on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, as always, for watching and listening. And until next time, remember,
Let go my ego. Oh, yeah. Football, you guys want to play some football?
Play soccer right now.